right. Well, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. I really wanted to bring you in and just chat with you a little bit just to see how you're feeling with all this new experience going on.
Okay.
So it's my hope for today that we can get on the same level, get on the same page, and I want to get to understand you a little bit more. Are you open to doing that with me today?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So, you're new here, you're just getting the sense of the ropes and everything, but I want to hear from you, like, how are you feeling with being in this new situation, being in this new environment? What are your thoughts on being here?
I like it. It's a good environment for me. I'm a people's person. I could just chat. Even since I was a little kid, I could just chat up. My mom would say you could talk to a tree stump. I just love chatting people up. So I think that's been good for me in this position because I've really been able to talk to people, build relationships with people, and that's what I love to do. So it's been good, honestly.
I'm really grateful that you're sharing your thoughts with me, and I'm happy to hear that you're feeling pretty comfortable being here. We're talking about what you're enjoying here, but what are a few challenges you're seeing that you're having as you're going about your day to day?
Challenges, I would say, probably just getting used to a new product. When you start to sell something new, it takes a minute to get used to that product and the people and the new people that you typically sell to. It's a different demographic typically. So I'm getting used to that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing your concerns with me. If you had to pick just like 3 things that you would say are your top things that you're struggling with at this point in time, you're new here, what would you say the top 3 things are?
The top 3 things. It would probably be, blending in with a new sales team, kind of getting a hold of that. New situations always kind of stress me out. And so just like getting used to the sales team, closing the sale is always, I feel like I'm spot on where I need to be with relationship, but closing the sale sometimes can be a struggle, it seems, and I'm not sure why that is. I haven't always struggled with that in the past, but in this particular sale, I think I'm struggling with that more. And I think those are my main 2. I'm having a hard time coming up with the third one, but those would probably be my main 2 concerns.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, which thank you for sharing, is you're feeling like you're still having a little bit of hard time melding in with the group a little bit, get to know everybody a little bit more, and you're a little shaky in your confidence with being able to close the sale. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So going along with those 2, which I know everybody here is actually really enjoying you being here. I think part of that is just, you're at a new job, you're on edge a little bit, which I can completely empathize with you on that. When I first started here all those years ago, I was shaking in my boots every time I came into the office because I didn't know anybody. So I want you to feel confident that that will change. I think given time, I think you'll be able to really, because you're a people person, you like to talk, you like to chat, and I think that's something that will really be beneficial here as you're trying to create the relationships not only with your clients but with your coworkers as well.
Right.
So don't stress yourself out on that one because I think you're heading in the right direction.
Okay.
In regards to closing, could you just maybe go in a little bit more in depth with the concerns you have when you're going through the process and you're hitting that closing stage, what you're seeing, what you're feeling?
I think because of the nature of the relationship, when it comes to making a friend in a client, it's 100%. But I think I feel uncomfortable when I'm trying to sell that new friend on a product right away. And so I think that's where the hesitancy comes in, and I think that's where my issues are arising, is just building a relationship and then moving right into a sale. It just almost doesn't feel right to me.
What's the time frame that you typically go between when you're building a relationship, you're progressing along, and now you've hit the point of the sale? What does that time frame look like for you? Like number of visits or other things like that?
I would say, it seems to be company policy to close people on either the first or the second visit, and I've been trying to do that. but I think that's why I feel uncomfortable about it. When I was kind of getting briefed on this position, they were saying, yeah, most of our sales reps, the successful ones, close on either the first or the latest, the second sale. So I've been trying to do that, but it feels weird.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. And while we may say that some of our salespeople, they close and that, we want to make sure that you're not just trying to fit into a mold, because we want you to excel with how you are. We want you to find your sales style. And if that could be, well, let's throw in another beneficial meeting after this, so it's not such a rushed event for you. Do you think you could maybe find some value and maybe for yourself taking a little bit of extra time?
I think so. Honestly, having that freedom actually makes me feel like I'd be more comfortable in making sure that I was meeting their needs.
Wonderful. Well, that's what we want. I mean, we brought you in, you're very personable. I think you have the ability to excel 100% in this career. And I love that you're wanting to really develop the relationships, because sometimes I think that's a trait that is often missed. So I really applaud you for having that and having the desire to do that. So I guess we'll just kind of summarize a little bit here is your concerns with melding in with the group. Do you feel confident that just the more time that you're here, you'll get to know people a little bit more, and you'll just kind of develop those relationships with your coworkers naturally? And then as you're going about your sales cycle with these clients, you're a little hesitant with going straight to the sale, but you feel confident that if maybe you were to add a little bit of extra time to those, not an exceptionally long amount of time, but just a little bit, that could be potentially beneficial for you in being confident and knowing what they need and in delivering the level of service you yourself are holding yourself to?
I think so.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we have an understanding on that, and I want to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to help you. So if there's anything along those lines, any other concerns that you have, I really hope that you would take the trust in me and come and speak with me about that. Are there any other concerns or issues that you're feeling you're having besides just the anxiousness when you're getting to the close?
I have a question in regards to building a relationship versus closing. Like, what ratio should I be looking at there? Because right now, and so you're saying feel free to take extra time building that relationship. Well, what should that ideally look like as far as ratio between relationship building and closing?
That's actually a question, and thank you for taking the time to ask that. From my perspective, since I was in your role once before, from what I had experienced it was always important that where I felt the need, that I understood what they wanted, and I felt like they put their trust in me, they felt confident with my understanding, then I would take the time to now create the plan and then go through and try to get the sale. And for myself, that was probably about 2 to 3 visits. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like part of your hesitation could possibly be that you're concerned that if you go with your building a relationship, building the trust, and now all of a sudden you're wanting them to buy from you. Am I correct in thinking that you're worried that they're going to become, maybe offended isn't the right word, but offended that you're just trying to take their money? Is
right,
that
almost like I'm using them, and I would hate to even err on the side of that.
Right. Right.
Like, what kind of a rapport is that to build? Like, she was only interested in getting to know me because she wanted to sell me on the product.
Right. So my thought is, well, what if we can turn that thinking around? What if we can figure out a way so that it's no longer a concern, a hesitation for you, but now you're looking at it in a new perspective? Would you be okay with maybe us diving into that topic a little bit, see if we can possibly do that?
I'd love to.
Okay, awesome. So when you're going about, you're creating the relationship, and you're really feeling like you're having a good understanding of what the person is needing, let's look at it like this. Let me start over. Let's look at it like this. So you have a friend. You are trying to get to know this friend as good as possible. And your friend tells you, well, I'm having a hard time with, let's say, getting my child to sleep on time. I'm having a difficult time with that. And you listen to them, you listen to their needs, and you think you have a good understanding on what could possibly help be a solution to them. So you trust your friend trusts you, and you broach this solution not in a sense of you overpowering their parental abilities, but just as a gentle suggestion. And you show them this could be helpful for you in your endeavors. And they don't look at it as a sense of you trying to overpower them and tell them what to do, but they look at it in a sense of, well, I trust this person, so I'll try it. And it ends up possibly being successful for them. Now relate that to your sales. You're building the relationship with this client, you're getting to know them, they're getting to know you. And now you understand their issues and their concerns. So as a friend, going back to the friend relationship, you want to help your friend in whatever way you can. So this client has told you whatever issues they're having. And instead of thinking it of, oh, I have this solution, but I don't want to offend them, think of it as, you're my friend. I trust this relationship. I want to help this relationship. So you broach the product that we have to offer to be of benefit for them. Mm-hmm. So instead of looking at it in a sense of, I want to take your money, you're looking at it in a sense of, let me help you. And right. Of course it has costs along with it, but they're a business, we're a business. That's kind of a mutual understanding that everybody kind of knows. Do you think looking at your approach with that sort of mindset could be helpful to help you get around the little bump that you're feeling with that?
I think so. I think you're spot on there. I think honestly I've been drawing a line in between like friendship and business. And if I'm their friend, then I can't be their business consultant in sales. Or if I'm their business consultant really getting the best price for them, I can't be their friend. So I think that was a good analogy, honestly.
Okay, well, I'm glad we were able to touch on that. And I hope that, as you go about this next week, potentially you can start having that mindset and using the relationship of you want to be a benefit for them. You want to help them. It's not so much I'm going to take your money, but you're wanting to aid them in whatever way you can. And I also have another resource. It's actually from a website called HubSpot. It's a Challenger Sales. And I think it can also be a great tool for you just with your mindset to help you give yourself some peace of mind when you're going about these sales. Is that a material you'd be open to possibly reviewing?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'm really glad to hear how you're doing. I think you're doing amazing. And as you're new here, you're getting over this learning curve, don't stress yourself out too much. Let's stay in contact, and we can try to set up a time for next week even. We can do the same day. And just, if you're willing to commit to putting in these changes that we've talked about today, then I think even within this week, you'll have a huge success rate.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, we'll talk next week.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to get some notes off here because I made some new notes that I'm going to try to implement.
I think you can pause the recording. That little pause on the bottom.
Okay. Sweet. Savannah, so good to see you.
Let's go Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. I'm so glad that you wanted to go to the Olive Garden today because, man, I get these breadsticks away from me. I like lose all ability to have self-control when it comes to these things. So I was glad that you wanted to come here of all places.
It's one of my favorite places to go around town.
It's good. It's good. It's sad that we don't have one close. You have to drive 30 minutes to get to it, but I guess it's worth the drive.
Yeah. So I wish there was one closer, but I'll do the struggle to go and get the reward.
It's worth it for you.
Yeah, it is.
Awesome. Well, it was a good excuse for me to come this way. So tell me about your weekend. Are you Are you a football person?
I am. I am a football person. I love the Seahawks. I'm actually from the Washington area.
No way.
Yes, so I really love the Seahawks. And even though my team wasn't in it this year, our rivals were. So I was going for the Chiefs,
Were ya?
and I was pretty pleased that they won. So
It was awesome.
It was pretty fun to
It was
watch.
awesome. Yeah. I loved the look on the coaches. I always love that part of the game when they dump the Gatorade on their head.
Right?
I don't know why, but
Just
I love
the
the look on
shock
his face.
and the-
Yeah, like
yeah.
you finally did it. Can you imagine what's going on in their mind in that moment?
I think I would be stunned, to be totally
I
honest.
know.
I wouldn't be able to speak.
It's fun. The energy right
Mhm.
there in that moment with like all the players and the
Yeah.
coach. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of meet with me. And tell me about how the adjustment's going for you into the company.
Honestly, I'm really pleased with how my adjustment has been happening. I mean, I haven't been here for too long, but I've been really successful in hitting my numbers. I feel like I'm really creating a good environment and relationship with a lot of the clients and potential clients I have coming up, and I feel like I'm able to get things done quickly, which I'm pretty pleased about being able to do that.
It's amazing. Awesome. What difficulties have you had in the adjustment?
I think the biggest difficulty that I've had and that I've still kind of been struggling with is the feel of this company compared to the one I was at prior is a much slower pace than what I'm used to. So what I've been doing has been a much faster sales pace. It's and coming here, it's been a lot more, take your time, slow down, hold your horses sort of thing. And I've been struggling with that because in my mindset, I don't see things needing to take as long as they sometimes do that I see my coworkers doing. So I've kind of been trying to set an example and be like, hey, we can get this stuff done faster, which I don't necessarily see as a bad thing because faster productivity means more productivity. So but I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that I've had here is just adjusting to the tempo of the company.
Okay. Awesome. So for you, what do you feel like the other salespeople are lacking?
I mean, I don't really like to dish on my coworkers or anything like that. I like to try to, maintain friendships and everything. But if I had to say just one thing, it would be I feel like they're setting meetings that don't need to be set. They're drawing out the process that doesn't need to be drawn out. At least from what they've told me, that they're talking about with their clients and the reasonings why they're making more meetings when they could be completing things sooner. It doesn't line up in my mindset and not with what I want to try to do. And I've proven that what I've been doing is successful. So that would probably be my biggest things. They're drawing things out that they don't need to draw out.
Okay. So I'm hearing from you that there's a lot of excess meetings. They're taking longer time in the sale than needs to happen. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for you, what's an ideal salesperson in a sales environment look like?
Well, I think it's someone who's organized, they stay on task, they get to know the client, they get to know the client's needs, they start to build that relationship, build that trust with them, get the rapport, and then once they feel like they have a good understanding and the client feels like they have a good understanding with where we're coming from with our product line, then they go in and they finalize it.
Awesome. Are there any gaps between what you see as an ideal salesperson and environment and where you're at right now?
That's a tough one. So if I'm being completely honest, I guess there have been moments in time where my understanding of a client's response, like needs and wants, weren't 100% lined up. Still lined up enough to the point where I did know, but I guess I could have done better at getting to know them getting more on the personal side. So it wasn't so much more of a business transaction-y kind of feel.
Okay. You would say that your feel in the professional scene is more professional than laid back.
Yeah.
What do you hope for in the relationship with your customers when you're entering into a sales call? What's your goal there? What do you hope for?
Well, if it's a brand new, right off the bat, first time meeting sort of thing, I definitely want to set up a second appointment because I don't believe that one appointment, one and done is sufficient enough. That's certainly not what I'm trying to get across. But I would hope that we can discuss things enough to where they're interested in what we might have to offer. And then I would set up the second appointment and go from there and get more of an understanding off of that.
Awesome. So you're saying build the interest enough to where they're going to want to schedule a second appointment. And that's kind of your goal as far as that goes.
I would say so, yeah.
Would I be correct in saying that building that interest is going to be connected with finding their needs and building a more personal rapport and relationship with them? Is there a connection there?
Well, yeah, I could see that. Because if you're trying to build a relationship, you're naturally going to build a rapport and get to know them.
Okay. And what would you like to be able to do better to build that rapport?
Well, I feel like I'm going to put my foot in my own mouth here saying maybe it just takes more time.
What makes you say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, as maybe I'm not doing an adequate amount of research. I'm not getting to know them enough before I actually go in and try to get to know them.
That totally makes sense. I kind of want to shift gears now just a little bit and ask if you'd like to write some of these things down that we're talking about. And what I want to do is create an action plan for you. So that the next time we meet back together, there's some tangibles that we can say, how have I improved in this? What's looking better here? Would you be willing to write some of these things down as you're going through them?
Yeah, no, I'm don't have a pen and paper here with me right now, but I have a mobile device, can take notes on. Yeah, I mean, always open to improving, so.
Great. If you would just open up, maybe even like your notifications and put in some notes here.
Okay.
And just put down those things that, number one, kind of what you just went over there, with building rapport. And kind of break it down for me. What specifically do you want to do there? And I know you said that you felt like you were sticking your foot in your own mouth. And, sometimes it feels like that, like it's almost against your character to work on the things that you feel like you need to work on. Like, you were super vulnerable when you said, to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like it's because I could spend more time finding needs and building rapport. And that's probably why you felt like, I'm sticking my foot in my mouth here because this is the thing that I struggle with. What is something a little bit more specific that you feel like you could do to build that rapport and find those needs?
I think maybe if I went into a call without having the mindset of closing the sale, where I actually just went in to just get to know them and get to know what they want, what they'd hope out of a product like ours, I think that could possibly really turn around my mindset. Because I guess with the fast sales is I'm just going in to try to get the sale.
Right.
So if I change my mindset when I'm going into the place, then I guess I could see that I would have a different attitude towards the conversation.
Amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and jot these down too, so that we can both be on the same page as far as our next meeting. So what I was hearing from you is just building the rapport in such a way that you know their wants coming out of that first meeting. And I'd say that's almost something coming out of that first meeting, if you could sit down and write out, this is what this customer wants. That would be something you could bring back, and we could go over it next week and say, okay, this customer name, what did they want? How do you know that? And what
Right.
questions did you ask to get there? So,
Right.
so let's
Yeah.
put that as a deliverable, and let's go over it next week. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that was bothering you or on your mind that you wanted to bring up while we were having this meeting?
No. I mean, to be totally honest, I feel like this meeting I came here with a mindset of possibly convincing that we could change the sales approach. And I feel like I put in my place a little bit to keep my mouth quiet and just learn the process and maybe try it a different way and see if maybe I get better outcomes from that.
Benny, you're a great salesperson, and I'm excited to eat some of this.
All right, I'm starting.
Yeah, awesome. Let's do it. Great.